Right, so now that you can see the screen in front of you, I'm just going to run through a few areas on here. Now, the first thing you need to do when you hit this landing page is obviously register by clicking on this blue register button here. And just something to be mindful of when you are registering to a portal, and if you are auto-filling details out, sometimes it can mess up a little bit, so you really need to make sure that just admit some more people into the room. Need to make sure that you're aware of that, and when you get to areas here, for instance, it's auto-filled a number, whereas that particular field code. So just a few areas to make sure that you are aware that this particular area should not be that, and that's just what autofill will do. It'll just okay, so someone says my sound is breaking. I'm not sure what I can do about that. Just move my microphone a little bit and see if that helps. Okay. Yeah, so autofilling will autofill from your caching and maybe muck up some areas that you need to make sure that you enter correctly. And all the 1* fields here means it's a required field, so you need to put something in that area. Okay. And then when you move down to the classification and you click on here, you'll find that there's generally there's around 63 standard classifications that the councils or organisations will use, and you may look and think, nothing of that really relates to my business. Don't get too hung up on the classification list. It's really just for the organisations to have an idea of what your services are. If you can find something that's general, then choose that. We might just click on cleaning, for instance, add the classification, and it will add that to our registration. You can choose as many classifications as you like, and if you find that there's nothing really that does relate to your particular business, there is the option to choose other. So you can just type something in that other area. You need to go and view the terms and conditions of the organisation and then accept. After that, it's going to take you down to I'm Not a Robot, and after that you can register. If you have any issues registering onto any portals, then you can either use the online chat help, which if I click here, it'll ask you to put in your name and your email, start the chat, and you can just type in and you can see when it's red. If it comes up with a more details area, it's probably because the people on the chat are taking a break, they're not there at the moment, and it's going to flick an email straight through to the support team. As you can see, somebody's replying to me now. It's going to confuse him somewhat. I'm just going to think, oh, what's going on? Anyway. Just let them know that we're just training. So, if you can't, if you prefer to call somebody, you can call us on the 1-800 number, which is on the homepage. Should really be on this page so you can see, but anyway, I'm just going to click there and register. And once I do that, it says, thank you for registering. You will receive a link to set your password via email. And here's, if you're having difficulties, here's the number that you need to call. Okay. if you don't receive that email straight away, check your junk folder. Often, things will go into the junk, or contact us and we can help you with your registration. Okay, so logging in, if you've already got a registration, you can just log in on the side here, and just be mindful as well that there is cache capturing here where it's auto-populated these areas where I could have used this earlier on another portal and I may have a different password. So just be aware of that when you're logging in, you don't necessarily have the same login details on every single portal, unless you've set it up that way. Some councils will have, or some organisations will have terms and conditions that you need to agree to every time you log in, and others will just have it when you register. Now, if I go up to the top here, you can see there's my watch list, and that is any, I can't see that till I log in, silly. So I just go in here, log in. Okay, so it's telling me username, password's incorrect, and that is because I logged in with these details earlier, and that's not actually my login details for the portal here. So if that ever comes up, you'll know why. So go up to my watch list and I'll see any tenders that I've watching on this particular portal, and it'll show them all. Quite a few I've been watching over the years. My details is where you can go in and reset your password or change any of your details. The only thing that you can't change yourself is your email address, and you need to contact us if you want to update your email address for obvious reasons. You can view your classifications there and see which ones you've chosen and change them as well. Under the awarded tab, not every one of our portals uses the awarded tab, and they do. You'll be able to see the opportunities that are pending evaluation and the ones that have been awarded. So yeah, not all of our portals use this feature, but when they do, you can go and see, and they may give more details. For instance, this one's given the contract value, the start date, end date, successful supplier, and the suppliers that responded. Some of them might give less details and just have the description of the tender. The help and frequently asked tab here, you can send an email through to our support team by contacting us here, and our frequently asked questions are all here, and you can just click down and check and see. Right. Another thing to note is not all of our portals send out tender alerts. So you may notice that, some in particular, Horsham and Yarriambiack, I believe, do. So when they create a new public tender, if you're registered to their portal, you'll receive an alert saying this tender is been released. Now these notifications, they aren't profile matched to your business, so therefore you will get all tenders regardless of whether they're ones that you're going to be interested in. And the reason why it's like that is because when I showed you before registering and choosing your classifications, if you haven't chosen a classification, by error or otherwise, or you've changed your business module, you wouldn't be receiving the tenders, and you could miss out on one that that you otherwise should be receiving. And the other reason is, perhaps it's a large scale tender that's out, and you are just one part of that large scale, you know, in contracting, maybe, you know, there's a fit out and you're, you know, a flooring person or whatever, you know, you can see the whole picture of that, and then, you know, you may go to the main contractor and then subcontract out to that particular tender. So it's just giving you an idea and knowing what's going on in your community as well. Or, you know, Joe down the road might be interested in that tender, and you can say, hey, look, you know, I've just seen this tender, you know, you should go for it. So it's an all or nothing service. The alerts go out with all the tenders. If you're not interested in getting those alerts, you can unsubscribe. So just flick us an email to info@eprocure.com.au and we'll unsubscribe you from receiving those email alerts. Let's see, what else do we need to go on to now? Okay, so you'll notice when you're not logged into the portal, you'll see the page with any public opportunities, if there are any at the time. And once you log, you'll see any opportunities that you've actually been invited to privately. So any private tenders will come up here as well. With private tenders, they are related to your email address. So if the organisation has invited Joe at yahoo.com and Joe's not the one that's going to be completing the tender, it's Sam. Sam logs in, says, I can't see this tender, or, you know, it's been passed on by Joe. You will need to request through sending an email to info@eprocure.com.au, and we will forward that on to the appropriate organisation and ask them to add Sam to that particular tender. So the only person that's going to be able to see these private tenders are the ones that have been invited by their email address. Okay, so once you've logged in and you're wanting to have a look at the tender, so you click on the hyperlink here and you'll come to the tender details page. And what that will show you is all the documents ready to download, and they can be separate documents or they may have loaded them as a zip file. You can see most of our councils document download fee is free. It'll show you the release date, the time that you actually clicked on the registration, when it's closing, and it'll show you here if you've responded to that particular tender. So it's just a matter of clicking on the documents to download them. They should never take more than a few seconds, and they will download to the bottom of in your downloads folder. Now up here you'll notice that there's a 1 on here, and that means that prior to you registering to this tender, an addendum was issued. So you can click on here and it says, please replace documents with the attached. So I'm going to download a new tender document to replace the one that was in the tender details area. The addendum area can be used for, you know, other communication. Perhaps the tender has been extended out, the closing date, or any of those types of reasons. Once you're registered to the tender, you will get notification via email of any addendums that are issued and also questions that are asked on the forum. So any questions that were asked and answered publicly, you'll be able to see here. And equally, you can ask your own question here and submit your question. Now, whoops, let's just try that again. I get a few glitchy things happening sometimes in my demo portal. So now it says your question has been asked. Now that won't show up in here until someone from the council has responded, and they may respond privately or publicly depending on the question. If it's, I can't download the documents, they might just reply to you privately and say, can you please contact eProcure, here's their number. If it's something that everyone needs to, what's this? Oh, sorry, I just was reading something in the chat there. I'll have a look at that later. So yeah, so privately or publicly, depending on the question, and then once it's been answered, it'll appear here, and you'll also get an email. It won't appear here, obviously, if it's been answered privately. Now here's the response button here, and this is where you respond to this particular tender. So this tender is simply where you download the documents, fill out your responses, and then upload your files. So you would just add your files here. Now, I'm just going to add this file here. Now, if this ever happens where it says webinar and suppliers doc, this file contains illegal characters, so please remove the illegal characters from this file name. So here's a list of what the illegal characters are, and my particular file name has the ampersand in it, you know, that little and symbol, and it's just merely saying that you can't put that in there. So I would need to have it webinar AND suppliers. So I'm just going to go back and choose my tender document there. And it should never take a long time for the documents to upload. The limit, there's no real limit except that we say anything over 100 megabytes can cause issues with the organisations downloading your files. So if you have really large files and you may have drawings or something like that, then it's always a good idea to zip the files and upload them zipped. And if you do have any problems with uploading files, definitely get on to us sooner rather than later. And if it's getting close to the closing time and you think you're going to go on the chat and say, hey, I'm having trouble, get on the phone. It's much quicker. If you're pushed for time, give us a call. It's quicker. We can get it done, faster than back and forward chatting. And never leave it to the last 10 minutes. We know that always happens, but it's sometimes difficult for us to help you if you're calling in 2 minutes before the tender's actually closing. And also I just want to point out this clock here. We have a disclaimer on this clock and it says it's an indication only. And the reason for that is if I was to walk away now and leave my computer goes to sleep, and I come back, say, in 3 hours time, and I bring my computer back up to life, this clock's going to have stopped for those 3 hours, and it's going to give you a false indication of how much time you've got. You should always go by the tender close date and time on the tender details. Don't rely on that clock. Hang on, somebody's trying to come in. So always go by that. There's other times when that clock can get a little bit caught up as well. If you've got more than one window open with this particular eProcure page, that can mess with it as well. So yeah, always go by the tender close date and time on the tender details. Now you can see here this is ready to submit, and that does not, I have not made a submission as yet, and so yeah, you always need to hit the submit button to make that submission. You do have the comments area here for a cover letter. Just know that this particular area isn't evaluated with your submission. It's just purely if you wanted to say some niceties. So it's not required. So once I'm ready to submit, I can make my submission by hitting on there, and I can go back and resubmit right up until the close time. So if you're ever, waiting on something to come that, waiting on somebody else to produce something to make your submission, and you think, well, it's okay how it is, but we just want to make some changes, always hit that submit button and you can go back and resubmit right up until the close time. The organisation will only receive one submission. They won't receive all your submissions that you've made up until the close date. They'll just receive the latest one that you submitted. Another button I want to mention here is the intend to respond button. That is by no means means that you've made a response. It's really just a courtesy to say to the organisation, hey, I'm going to respond to your tender. I intend to respond to your tender, but because I've done it after I've already made a submission, it's gone, what? What are you doing? So basically that is just your intention, telling them your intention to respond. Right. And then of course, withdraw from tender. I'm withdrawing my interest. So I've already made a submission. So I actually can't withdraw my response unless I delete out my submission. So if I go in here and delete that out, I can then withdraw from that tender. I don't know why it's still got that message up, but anyway. So I'm just going to go back to the front page again, and I'm just going to check my list to make sure I've covered everything. Yeah. So I'm just going to go through, and we've not got very much longer to go. The webinar, completing a tender with an online form. Okay, so this particular tender, like the last one, was a document download upload. This one has actually got an online form to be completed. So once I click on my register my interest, same again, I can download the documents. I can make my show my intention to respond by clicking on here, which will work this time because I haven't made a response. I can also withdraw from the tender at any time, and what that will do is it'll stop me getting all the notifications of the addendums and the questions and everything if I'm not interested. I mean, you might go in sometimes, register your interest, download the documents and go, no, this isn't for me. So once you've decided you don't want to make a response, click on that withdraw from tender and you won't receive any more of the updates. So I'm just going to register my interest again. And I need to go back into the response tab here, and it's showing online submission form, and it's showing it with the red candy cane as incomplete. So what I need to do is I need to click on this online form, and we come to this page where it says, okay, do you want to just go and have a look at the pages first? Do you want to start your submission? Do you want to download to review it? You may want to send it on to somebody else in your company to have a look and say, here's the tender. Can you fill out your part before I make the submission? And here, when you've completed the submission, you can download your submission that you've completed. So I'm just going to start this online form here. Now you might find that some have a front page with some instructions telling you what to do, and read through those. And it's just a matter of working through this form by going save and next. Now I get to the first question and it's a yes, no, not applicable. And also you'll see that you've got a comments area beside each question. So I'm then going to put my name and it's telling me that I've got 350 characters available in this particular response field. Now I might get to an area and I might go, well, I've got more than 350 characters to go in here. So I can come over to the comments field and I've got 20,000 characters I can fill out here. So a lot more detail can be put into this area. However, what's going to happen with this particular form, if this is a mandatory field, which it is, and it requires something in the response area, when I get to the end of this, it's going to say, hey, you're X amount percentage complete. You're missing something. Okay, there are some areas that might just have comments only, where you just type in your comments. And then you may get to others that are just the yes, no's that you work your way through. Now, once you get to the end, and I'm just going to get to the, I'll just point out here that you can add documents in certain areas as well, where they are required to upload. It's saying we want a maximum one side A4 for each project. Add your document here. Now, once I get to the end and I'm at my pricing area, I can see here that I'm 13% complete on this form. You'll find that you cannot put dollar symbols or any words in this particular area. It's simply for your lump sum price. Now, once I've got through the whole form, which I've done, it's telling me I'm 16% complete because I haven't really done a lot. I can go through and I can see all these areas that are highlighted in pink, and that means that those are mandatory fields that I have not completed. And I'm saying, well, look, I actually put something in this particular one and it's still showing that it's pink, and that was because there's something required in this particular field. So what I could do in that instance is go back and put in here, see comments, save and next. And then I'll just go back to the draft and it'll show you here that this one is now complete because this was a mandatory field that was required. And I mean, that can, you know, catch a lot of people out. However, a lot of our portals do not require you to be 100% complete when you're filling out these forms, but you know, it's peace of mind to know when you get to the end of it that it's showing here 100% when you get to the end. And mine's going to show 19% complete. Now, occasionally you'll be able to add a file outside the online form, but not very often. Mostly when there's an online form, they require you to upload all your documents to that online form. And the reason for that is because the online forms are there to make, you know, the requirements easier to get you to get the right information in there, and for their evaluators to be able to evaluate your submission online. Now, I think there's this one more thing that I want to mention, and that is working on a session timed out, a timed out session, should I say. So you might find when you're adding some files, you know, it's not going to work because I can't do it without timing out my session, but you might come here and you might get a little triangle, the yellow triangle with the exclamation mark in it, and it's saying your documents aren't loading, and or it might be spinning round and round and round. You go, what's happening? You know, it's about to close. I'm panicking here. And generally that's because you're working on a timed out session, and what that means is you've logged into eProcure, you've walked away, or you've gone on to another tab and you've started working away, and you've come back, you know, maybe 2 hours later, and you go, oh yeah, it's still here, and I'll just upload my document, and then you'll come across these issues. And the best thing to do is to log out, log back in, even if you close down your browser and open up a fresh browser, log back in, and then you'll find you won't have any issues. So yeah, so just be aware, and be aware of if you have more than one window open as well. You can also have issues with that as well. So I've got 2 windows open now. If I go backwards and forwards, you know, it looks like it's working fine, but I might find that at some point that I come unstuck from having those 2 windows open and working on the same document. So I'm just going to finish up there and just see if there's any questions in the chat. Just got it. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to work out how to get to that. Ah, here we are. Can you have more than one options in other? Can you have more than one options in other? Hang on, just the chat's just going all over the place. Hang on a minute. Okay, let me just scroll down and see if I can see. Can you have more than one options in other? I'm not sure what that means, sorry. Just bear with me, I'm just trying to scroll down. It keeps going all over the place for some reason. Do some councils charge for download of documents? Yes, some do. Actually, LGP, which isn't a council, obviously, local government procurement, they do charge for document downloads, and I think there might be, maybe Hobson's Bay, or I'm not 100% sure, I can't, but generally no. Most of our councils do not charge for download of documents. And no, Horsham and Yarriambiack don't. Cheryl, will you explain answering the questions for evaluators? Oh, okay. So Michelle said, will all the information in the online form be saved in a timed out session? If you have clicked on the save and next, any information that you've typed in there and clicked on the save and next will be saved. You can log out at any time, log back in, and all your information will be saved. You do not need to keep the session open to keep your responses saved. Right, let's just have a look. Does anyone else have any? Oh, Linda has a question. She has her hand up. Linda, can you type your question in the chat now? I think Linda might have got her question answered. If we have any more questions, can you type them in the chat, and then we can you have more than one other option in the registration section? Oh, okay, yep, I've got that. That's a very good question, actually. I am not 100% sure. That's something I'll have to have a look at. Let's have a look at that right now. think, yeah, I guess it's really just a single box. However, I might just have to investigate that. It's something that I've never really looked at, to be honest. Yeah, I'll have to get back to you on that one, Linda. Is there a way for the same username to work for all eProcure portals? If not, can we request that feature? Also, we would like a way to download all our yeah. So there isn't a single sign-on, mainly because they're all individual portals, but you can use the same email and password for all the portals. You can use exactly the same email and password, but we don't have a single sign-on that will get you into all of them. So yeah, use the same username and password is fine. And no, we don't at the moment have a way to download all the RFQ documents at once. And sometimes, you know, it's a good idea to separate them out so that you can look at the, tender documentation and decide whether you want to download them all. But yes, I do think that that's a feature that would be useful, and we have been requested that before, so we will be looking into that for future development. Yeah. Michelle says if the council uploads them as a zip file, then you can it will allow you to download as one file, which is correct. If there's no more questions, I think we can finish it off there. Hopefully I've covered everything. I'm just looking at my my little list to make sure I've covered everything off, and I think I have. But certainly if there's any questions you have, could you please email us at info@eprocure.com.au, and we're only too happy to answer any of your questions. And Julie, yes, you do have to register to each council individually, I'm afraid. Thank you, guys.